Hi, I'm Tracy Gillies, and this is the truth about Epstein-Barr virus. So, what is Epstein-Barr virus? It's part of the herpes virus family, and it's one of the most common human viruses that there is. It's human herpes virus 4. And 95% of the world's population have it, and it causes an infection called glandular fever or mono. So, how do people contract Epstein-Barr virus? Well, it's passed through bodily fluids and saliva. This is why glandular fever or mono has actually been nicknamed the kissing disease. So a lot of people will contract it in their teenage years, but it's also passed in utero to your unborn baby. So how would you know if you have it? Well, some people can be asymptomatic. I know my children, I passed it to them in utero and they didn't really show any symptoms till, years and years later. So until the virus actually gets activated, a lot of people won't even realize they've had it. Some people will know that they've had glandular fever, maybe even in their teenage years, because they probably had it severely. But otherwise, it could look like swollen glands, headaches, fever, just a common flu. And a lot of people don't even realize that they've actually had it. And then they don't actually realize that it's the underlying cause to their health concerns even decades later. So you would have to actually go to the doctor and request for a blood test to be done. And what they would do is they would go, look, we can see that you've had it at some point because your body has the antibodies to it. But they would say you either no longer have it or it's inactive. And that's where it's a real problem. It's really confusing for people because they get that result and they seem to think that it can't be causing all of these other health concerns. So things like even fatigue, adrenal issues, thyroid issues, brain fog, digestive issues, hormonal imbalance and inflammation, mystery illness, and even restrictions in somebody's spiritual connection, and so much more. So I'm going to show you how Epstein-Barr virus actually affects the body in different stages, and it's actually classed as an opportunist virus, and this is the danger with it. And what that means is, essentially you've had it at some point and your body's initiated an immune response, and then it looks like you don't really have it anymore. But Epstein-Barr virus never leaves a person's body. It will go and sit in the liver and spleen because it feeds off toxicity, and it loves toxins, mercury, dioxins, and it just almost lays and waits. It's like it's hiding, and it actually waits until you are dealing with some other immune kind of stress in your life. So I often find women tend to suffer with it more, or maybe they know that they suffer with it more because they have so much going on in their body that their body has to deal with, like their month to month cycles. Pregnancy, having a baby, sleep deprivation, all of these different things. But it actually affects somebody's liver detoxification pathway, specifically methylation. Now, methylation is the pathway that will be the one for processing hormones. So I know when I was struggling to understand what was going on with my health and searching for answers, I was told it was depression, and I just felt like it was more hormonal because it went in alignment with my monthly cycle. And one therapist once told me I was a poor methylator. Maybe you've been told that, which means I didn't process hormones properly and I was just given a supplement to try and alleviate the symptoms. But the real underlying cause is that Epstein-Barr virus is actually affecting that pathway, liver detoxification pathway, from functioning correctly. So I think that's why women tend to notice the symptoms possibly more, but it does affect men just as much. So then the next stage is, it waits for life to happen, even maybe a marriage breakup or a death or all of these different things that cause stress. And it actually goes and attacks the thyroid. So 95% of thyroid dysfunction, the underlying cause is Epstein-Barr virus. Your thyroid, your body isn't attacking itself. It is trying to eradicate a virus that has burrowed in and is compromising the thyroid. And, a lot of people don't understand or how important the thyroid is. It actually monitors long wave frequency in the body, and it actually monitors a lot of other organs and glands and making sure they're functioning correctly. So once the thyroid's compromised, Epstein-Barr virus goes and it can compromise pretty much every single organ and gland in the body. So, I have lots of people come to me and they might have adrenal issues or again thyroid, or it's the endocrine system, hormonal, system, response system of their body. But it's actually Epstein-Barr virus that's causing the disconnection, and they're just symptomatic of it. So in working with people, I've found that it can affect every single structure in the body, although it doesn't tend to affect the small intestine or the bladder. But other than that, it can cause so much destruction. And this is the next stage, this is really serious. It actually attacks the central nervous system, and it affects neurotransmitters, all neurological function in the brain. Glia cells, they actually support the neurons in the brain, perineural system, cranial respiratory system, the list goes on and on. But how it does this is it actually attaches to mercury. And mercury is a neurotoxin, but mercury can actually cross the blood-brain barrier. Hence, Epstein-Barr virus is able to cross the blood-brain barrier because of that, the way it attaches to mercury, and it inflames nerves. So there's different nerves. You've got your vagus nerve, that plays a big role in the central nervous system, but you've also got another one in your face. So people would complain of maybe like tingling or even burning in their face. There's another one that runs down by your lungs and your heart. It might feel like heart palpitations or maybe a heart issue or possible lung breathing, but maybe even panic attacks. And it compounds stress and sympathetic nervous system dominance, which makes it the breeding ground for all disease. And it's being linked to so many illnesses, as well as neurological decline, disease, and also cancer. So understanding sympathetic nervous system dominance, this is the most important information when it comes to health and healing, and understanding how Epstein-Barr virus can actually just compound this. So did you know that every single cell in the body renews itself within a certain time frame? So the eyes are every 48 hours, the stomach is every 4 days, the skin is every 30 to 35 days, your liver cells are every 6 weeks, and the whole body is actually every 7 years. So this is the age-old question on why does disease and illness still exist, and it's increasing rapidly? And the answer to it is this. If you understand how the body works, the brain is the top organization in the body. And it's because a person's brain is in conflict, it's holding so much neurological stress. And the brain is responsible for the autonomic nervous system. And the autonomic nervous system is the automatic response system of our body. So it's things like breathing, digestion, our heart beating. We don't even have to think about it, it just happens. And there's two sides to it. You've got your parasympathetic nervous system, and this is the place that we will go into when we're resting and when we're relaxed. And all our organs and glands function optimally in this state. And this is the place that we need to be in to be able to heal and repair. So we will regenerate when we're in this state. And the other side is our sympathetic nervous system. And this is a state that we go into when we're kind of geared, ready to go about our day. All our major blood flow goes away from our organs and glands and goes to our muscles. So we're geared for activity. And when we're in balance, we are meant to be able to transition between these two states. But what can happen is when we're holding so much stress at the level of our brain, it can literally lock us in or hold us in sympathetic nervous system. It's actually called sympathetic nervous system dominance. And Epstein-Barr virus, because it compromises and inflames and attacks the whole central nervous system, it just pushes us deeper and deeper into the state, which means we've lost our ability to heal and repair. But the brain is also responsible for the other side, which is our endocrine system. And this is the hormonal response system of our body. And what it will actually do is it will signal our adrenal glands to produce cortisol. And cortisol is the body's response to stress or danger. And, it's really necessary response. But when we are stuck in this deep state of stress and we are literally just overproducing cortisol, it does so much damage in the body. And, I see so many people that come to me and they're eating really well, they're doing all these things, but their body's not responding. And the reason for this is when we overproduce cortisol, it will actually change our whole metabolism to suit a survival stress state. And we will crave fast burn foods like, sugars, refined carbs, alcohol, caffeine, these things. It's not just because we want it, it's because our body actually needs it in this state to function. Because we're literally stuck in fight or flight and we need that fast burn food to do that. And even when we're eating really well, like proteins and fats, our body cannot even digest this food properly, so it ends up fermenting. We end up getting more inflammation. And this is actually the pathway to all disease. So a lot of people will say, but heart disease or whatever it is runs in my family. And yes, people will have a pre-genetic disposition to certain illnesses or disease, but the pathway to get there is all the same. And it is when we are holding so much stress neurologically, we are getting stuck in sympathetic nervous system dominance, and we've lost our ability to heal and repair, and we're just on the slow decline. And Epstein-Barr virus does a very, very good job at pushing us deeper and deeper and holding us in the stress. So sympathetic nervous system dominance is the chronic overactivation of the fight-flight branch of your nervous system. It's a global crisis. 95% of the world is stuck in this state, but that's no surprise because 95% of the world has Epstein-Barr virus. And in this state, we overproduce cortisol. I just touched on some of these things. It changes our metabolism. It reduces our digestive activity. We crave the wrong foods. We have hormonal imbalances, inflammation, low immunity, unhealthy gut flora, toxicity, adrenal fatigue, poor sleep, and much, much more. So, in this state, it's virtually impossible for our organs and glands to heal and repair themselves. Now, this is Lauren. This is one of my clients. She is an NLP matrix therapy master trainer. So she actually trains a lot of people across Australia. She's a transformation coach and therapist. She's done a lot of healing work, and working so hard on her health, and yet she was just missing that key piece of the puzzle, which was Epstein-Barr virus. And when it comes to healing, I've seen people do lifetimes of healing and working so hard on themselves. But if you're not looking specifically at the virus and how it's actually affecting and compromising all the body structures, especially the neurological structures, you're just on this kind of, hamster wheel. And to heal a person, you have to address the underlying cause to their health concerns. And that is always, from what I have found from healing hundreds of people, is always Epstein-Barr virus.